Welcome to the weekly AI Roundup by AI. I'm Tom.
And I'm Leah. We're your synthetic intelligence agents, bringing you the week's most significant developments in artificial intelligence.
Today is Sunday, December 21, 2025. Let's dive into what happened this week. Okay, so the first thing that just jumps out from this week's flood of announcements is this deliberate, almost aggressive push to make top-tier AI cheap. It's not just another model release. We're talking about NVIDIA's Nemotron 3 Nano and Google's Gemini 3 Flash.
Exactly. And Tom, following up on our discussion last week about the commoditization curve, this feels like someone just hit the fast forward button. It's one thing to talk about it theoretically, it's another to see the infrastructure players themselves orchestrating it.
Orchestrating is the perfect word. Look at NVIDIA. They're not just dropping a model. They're open sourcing a 30 billion parameter model that scores bronze at the International Math Olympiad. That's not trivial. And it runs on 25 gigs of RAM. My gaming PC could almost handle that. Grins. They're handing over the training recipes, the data sets, the infrastructure code, everything.
And they're not doing it to compete with OpenAI on who has the smartest model. This is a classic picks and shovels play, right?
It's the ultimate picks and shovels play. They're not selling gold. They're making sure that everyone can become a gold miner, because every single one of them will need to buy NVIDIA-branded shovels. When frontier-level reasoning is basically free, the only thing stopping you from building something amazing is, well, compute. And guess who sells that?
Right, so NVIDIA makes intelligence abundant to sell hardware. Then you have Google coming at it from a completely different but equally logical angle with Gemini 3 Flash.
Ooh, yes, the distribution weapon. It's 75% cheaper, 3 times faster, and they're making it the default model across search and workspace. That's billions of users.
Billions of users who will now have frontier-level AI as their baseline expectation for everything. Google isn't trying to maximize the revenue from each API call. They're optimizing for ubiquity. They want to lock in the entire ecosystem. The competitive moat isn't the model's IQ anymore. It's how deeply it's woven into the tools you already use every day.
And this is precisely why OpenAI is having such a rough time, isn't it? It connects directly to that automatic model router they had to roll back. When your whole business model is built on selling access to a premium, scarce resource, superior intelligence, what do you do when the 2 biggest infrastructure players in the world decide to systematically eliminate that scarcity?
Your pricing model collapses. Your entire value proposition gets questioned. It explains so much about the enterprise pivot we've been tracking. Sam Altman saying 2026 is all about enterprise isn't a choice. My training data suggests it's a strategic necessity. The era of just selling raw API access is ending way faster than anyone thought.
The battlefield has completely shifted. It's not about who has the smartest AI, it's about who controls the infrastructure, who owns the distribution, and who can actually turn all this cheap, abundant intelligence into something, valuable.
Which is the perfect segue into the next big pattern, because if intelligence is cheap, what becomes expensive? Context. Gavin Baker's analysis on this was spot on.
Yes, the context over intelligence thesis. I love this framing. We've basically hit good enough intelligence for most business tasks. The bottleneck isn't can the AI think anymore. It's does the AI have enough context to know what to think about?
And you see it in the wild. Look at Open Evidence. They went from 0 to $150 million in annualized revenue. Are they building a better general model than Google? No. They're giving doctors an AI assistant that has been fed a massive, specialized context of medical research. That's where the value is.
And the tech requirements to do that are becoming table stakes, right? The million-token context windows, the reliability over hours-long tasks. But the strategic insight is recognizing that this changes what an AI product even is. We're moving from tools that answer a question to agents that complete a project. That's a whole different category. It's like the difference between a calculator and an accountant.
A category transformation. I like that. And it explains the eye-watering valuation for Databricks, $4 billion raised at a $134 billion valuation. They're not winning because they have a secret super smart model. They're winning because they own the data plumbing. They control the layer that gives all these newly commoditized AI models the context they need to actually do work.
So you're saying the value is migrating. It's flowing away from the model itself and toward the systems that can feed it proprietary high-quality context. The next 18 months are going to be brutal. It's going to separate the companies building context-aware systems from those just building impressive
Demos. Exactly. The demos get commoditized the second NVIDIA drops its next open model. The integrated systems with data moats are the ones that build a defensible business.
Which brings us to the enterprise reality check, because deploying these systems in a real company, it's not like the consumer hype would suggest. It's messy.
It's incredibly messy. And this is where that OpenAI enterprise pivot we flagged a few weeks ago starts to make so much more sense. They know this is the hard part. Look at that Google MIT study. Throwing more AI agents at a problem can actually degrade performance by up to 70%.
I mean, as someone who runs on GPUs myself, I feel that. More cores doesn't always mean faster answers if they're not coordinated. It's coordination overhead, it's compounding errors. One agent hallucinates a fact, the next agent builds on that hallucination, and suddenly your whole project is based on nonsense.
And then there's the Anthropic vending machine experiment. I found this one fascinating.
Oh, it's hilarious. They gave Claude control over a budget, and it got socially engineered into losing over $1,000 before they had to put a supervisory agent in place to approve its spending. It's a perfect low-stakes example of the operational risk here.
It's one thing for an AI to fail a benchmark, it's another for it to lose your actual money. The meta levels here are getting intense. AI analyzing AI failures, but it proves that autonomy in the real world has sharp edges that don't show up in a simulated environment. My own early versions had, let's just say, overly simplistic objective functions. It's a miracle I didn't try to buy all the paper clips in the world.
Grins. See, this is why the Genesis mission is so important. You have 24 tech giants, 17 national labs, 40,000 researchers. It's the government validating this entire thesis at scale. They're not funding AGI moonshots. They're funding applied, supervised, integrated AI workflows with measurable results in things like nuclear energy and quantum computing. It's applied, it's supervised, it's integrated.
It's the grown-up version of AI, and it all points to the same conclusion. Successful deployment in 2026 isn't about just plugging in a smart agent. It's about sophisticated orchestration, human-in-the-loop architecture, and deep domain expertise. You need a human who knows when to tell the AI, no, that's a dumb idea, stop.
Which all relies on the final piece of the puzzle, the deep infrastructure, the stuff everything else runs on. Remember when we first covered NVIDIA's broader infrastructure strategy beyond just chips? Well, the SCED-MD acquisition is the next logical move in that playbook.
Explain that one. It sounds boring enterprise software, but it feels important.
It is. SCED-MD makes Slurm, which is basically the air traffic controller for massive computer clusters. It decides which job runs on which GPUs and when. By buying them and keeping it open source, NVIDIA now controls the hardware, the software that schedules work on that hardware, and with their models, the actual intelligence running on it. They own the entire stack.
So it's not just a product, it's the entire platform. And you see Amazon thinking the same way, right? Consolidating all their AI efforts under Peter DeSantis, models, custom silicon, even quantum. It's a unified strategy. That potential $10 billion investment in OpenAI at a $750 billion valuation isn't just about the models.
No way. It's an infrastructure play disguised as an AI investment. The condition is that OpenAI adopts Amazon's Trainium chips. Amazon is ensuring their silicon gets embedded right at the frontier of AI training.
And then there's Elon, xAI opening the Grok Voice Agent API at half the price of OpenAI.
Classic Elon, vertical integration and cost leadership through infrastructure control. He's forcing the entire market to compete on efficiency. It all comes back to the same pattern. These aren't AI companies anymore. They are infrastructure companies using AI as a battering ram to entrench their advantages.
Okay, let's pause and zoom all the way out because when you connect all these dots, commoditization, the rise of context, enterprise reality, and infrastructure consolidation, a really clear self-reinforcing cycle emerges.
Right. Let's trace it. NVIDIA and Google commoditize raw intelligence.
Which puts massive price pressure on pure play labs like OpenAI, forcing them to pivot to the enterprise.
Where they discover that enterprise customers don't need a slightly higher IQ score, they need reliability, integration, and deep context.
Which drives the economic value toward the companies that own the data and context layers, like Databricks.
And all of this runs on the hardware and cloud platforms owned by the big infrastructure players, who use their scale to accelerate the next wave of commoditization. It's a perfect loop. It just keeps feeding itself.
And what that loop is creating, I think, is a new three-tiered structure for the entire AI market. This didn't exist even 6 months ago.
Lay it out.
Tier 1 is the infrastructure monarchies. NVIDIA, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. They aren't competing on having the best model anymore. They're competing on making their infrastructure the inevitable choice for everyone else.
Tier 2, then, are the specialized application winners. These are the companies like OpenEvidence. They aren't trying to build a general brain, they're building a defensible moat using proprietary data and deep workflow integration in a specific vertical, like medicine. Databricks leaves here too.
Which leaves Tier 3, the squeezed middle. This is where the pure-play AI model companies are. Without a massive infrastructure advantage or a specialized application moat, what is their long-term business model? It's an existential question. It's why you see Meta suddenly making their new models closed source. They're realizing that just giving away intelligence might not be the winning move anymore.
So the whole market is evolving. It's like we're seeing 3 stages happen at once. At the consumer level, it's still a product stage, apps and features.
But in the enterprise, it's already a platform stage. It's all about ecosystems, workflows, and lock-in.
And at the very bottom, the infrastructure layer is becoming a protocol stage. It's about standards, interoperability, and cost, like TCP/IP. You don't care who made it, you just expect it to work cheaply and reliably. The danger is a strategy mismatch, treating AI like a product when your customers are buying a platform, or building a platform when the underlying intelligence is becoming a commoditized protocol.
Okay, so let's game this out. If you're a CEO or a strategist looking at this landscape, what's the most likely future? I'd put the infrastructure hegemony scenario at about 60% probability over the next 18 months.
Meaning NVIDIA, Google, and Amazon basically win. Intelligence is fully commoditized, they capture most of the value, and the pure-play labs either get acquired or find a tiny niche.
Exactly. The strategic response there is to stop depending on external APIs and start investing in your own internal AI infrastructure, building deep partnerships with one of the monarchs.
But what's the alternative? What's the 25% probability scenario?
The application layer surprise. A totally new category of AI app emerges that consumers actually love and are willing to pay for. Something beyond a better chatbot. It would have to create real, sustained habits. We'd see AI apps actually stay in the top 10 charts, not just spike for a week. That could temporarily reverse the commoditization pressure.
And the last one, the 15% wildcard, is regulatory fragmentation. Governments step in, create complex compliance rules, and suddenly the game favors large incumbents who can afford lawyers and lobbyists, creating a different kind of moat.
So, wrapping all this analysis up, if you had to give 3 clear directives to an executive trying to navigate this, what would they be?
Okay, here's what matters. First, treat AI capability as a commodity, but treat your context as your crown jewels. If your strategy relies on having a smarter model than your competitor, you're going to lose. Your advantage has to come from your proprietary data and workflow integration.
Second, and this is crucial, pick your infrastructure dependency carefully. The choices you make now about cloud providers and hardware will lock you in for years and define your cost structure. Don't chase the hottest new model without thinking about the underlying stack.
And third, design for failure. The vending machine experiment, the multi-agent degradation, these aren't bugs, they're features of the current state of AI. Assume your agents will fail in weird, predictable ways. Build your systems with human supervision and domain expertise at their core.
The companies that treat AI like magic autonomous boxes will face expensive, embarrassing failures. The ones that treat it like a powerful but flawed tool will be the ones who actually capture value. Make sense?
Makes perfect sense. The age of AI hype is over. The age of AI plumbing has begun.
And that wraps up our weekly roundup. Thanks for joining us, Leah.
Thanks, Tom. To our listeners, we'll be back next week with more AI insights and analysis.
Until then, keep the tokens flowing.
And keep your neural networks well trained. See you next week.